I accept your nomination for Vice President of the United States of America. I do so committed to the values she taught me, to the word that teaches me to walk by faith and not by sight, and to a vision passed on through generations of Americans, one that Joe Biden shares, a vision of our nation as a beloved community where all are welcome, no matter what we look like, no matter where we come from or who we love. A country where we may not agree on every detail, but we are united by the fundamental belief that every human being is of infinite worth, deserving of compassion, dignity, and respect. A country where we look out for one another, where we rise and fall as one, where we face our challenges and celebrate our triumphs together. Today, that country feels distant. Donald Trump's failure of leadership has cost lives and livelihoods.
Right, so for more on the story, let's speak to our SABC correspondent based in New York, Sherwin Bryce-Pease. Sherwin, quite a moment, isn't it? It really is, not only for America and for Kamala Harris, of course, accepting that nomination, but truly for history.
Absolutely right, Michelle, Leanne, I beg your pardon. But also, this is a historic-making Democratic Party, right? In 2008, it was the first black president of the United States. In 2014, he ran for, in 2012 for re-election. The historic nature of Hillary Clinton's nomination in Philadelphia 4 years ago, the first woman to lead a major party ticket. So Democrats delivering again in 2020 with the nomination by Joe Biden of his vice presidential pick, but of course formalizing that now officially at the Democratic National Convention. She talked about the shoulders of the women who have come before her, mentioning some of them by name: Hillary Clinton, Mary Church Terrell, Mary McLeod Bethune, Diane Nash, Shirley Chisholm. Of course, Shirley Chisholm, the first black woman ever to run for president of the United States. So absolutely a historic moment, but also a Democratic Party that wanted to talk about the issues, not just about the character of the incumbent Donald Trump, but very much about what they want to do if they were elected. Things like immigration reform. You know that this has been a big struggle even under the Obama administration. His legacy undermined in many ways by attempts to eradicate what they tried to do for the Dreamers under the executive order known as DACA. They talked about gun control. They talked about the need for climate change mitigation and the erosion that we've seen under the Trump administration in terms of what the Obama administration had sought to do. They talked about an economic plan. We are in the midst of a global pandemic, a coronavirus in this country, Leanne, that has killed 170,000 people plus and infected more than 5 million people. So they talked about the incompetence in many ways of how this administration has handled this pandemic, and really talked about the experience that a Joe Biden at the head of a ticket would have, having dealt with the economic crisis in 2008, having dealt with the Ebola pandemic, not just in the United States, but around the world. So very much about the issues today, but also Kamala Harris really introducing herself to a national audience on a very big platform when everyone was focused on what the Democrats were saying tonight, Leanne.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, Sherwin, if we look at what this actually means for the Democrats' chances, because obviously a massive election coming up in the US, and as you've explained the background behind this election, I mean, the COVID numbers are growing, the death toll in the US is growing, and there always has been just, a big issue when it comes to America and the presidency of Donald Trump, although Americans still voting in favor of Trump. But is this going to tip the scales a little bit? What do you think? I mean, is this a big deal for the Democrats?
It certainly is a big deal. I think this is a recognition of the role that black women have historically played in Democratic successes, in the success of Barack Obama's historic presidency, and in the success of Democrats retaking the House and Nancy Pelosi regaining the gavel as Speaker in 2018, because black women in particular turn out in their numbers. So this, in many ways, this nomination, Joe Biden had a number of black candidates that he was looking to tap on the shoulder to be his vice presidential pick. Kamala Harris came out top. So this was a very important move, a strategic move, a nod of the hat really to say thank you for all you've done for this party. It's time now that you were represented. And Democrats also see an opportunity here in terms of being able to better crisis manage, certainly from their perspective, than the incumbent in the White House. And in many ways, Donald Trump has allowed them an opening here. But let me take the words of Hillary Clinton. She spoke earlier this evening, Leanne, and let me quote what she said. "Don't forget, Joe and Kamala can win by 3 million votes and still lose. Take it from me." Of course, talking about her popular vote victory in 2016, but of course losing the Electoral College. We heard this from every speaker. Obama, who was talking about, the Trump administration being a threat to democracy, but also imploring people to turn out to vote. Democrats really thought they had it in the bag in 2016, and so they are taking and leaving nothing to chance. People need to turn up. You need to translate the energy you saw on the streets of this country in the aftermath of the death of George Floyd. They want that kind of energy at the ballot box come November 3rd, Leanne.
All right, Sherwin, we'll have to leave it there for now, but thanks so much for the update, the late night or early morning update coming from New York from Sherwin Bryce-Pease. Thanks very, very much for keeping us updated there. All right, let's get on to our market.